Today, we are going to talk about the 2003 romance thriller movie Wicked Minds, whose story is sure to captivate you from the very start. This movie mixes love, manipulation, suspense, and betrayal, creating a dark and thrilling atmosphere. The plot takes unexpected twists and turns, keeping the audience at the edge of their seat. The story begins with a young man named Mike, fresh off his graduation, who is on his way to meet his father at his house. After so many years of being apart, Mike is filled with anticipation. His father, Paul, was always a busy man, occupied with his work and business dealings, so they hadn't seen much of each other in recent years. Despite his father's absence, Mike never once felt deprived of love or support, as Paul always made sure he had everything he needed. The excitement of reconnecting with his father after such a long time makes Mike eager to finally spend some quality time with him. When Mike arrives at his father's house, he is greeted not by Paul, but by Maria, their longtime housemaid. Maria, who used to care for Mike when he was a young boy, smiles warmly as she welcomes him. "Your father has planned a big surprise for you," she tells Mike, hinting at something exciting awaiting him upstairs. Mike, filled with curiosity, hurries to meet his father, eager to see what the surprise might be. However, when Mike reaches his father's room, he is in for a shocking surprise of his own. The room is empty, and Mike's first instinct is to assume that his father must be in the bathroom. But as he opens the bathroom door, his eyes widen in shock. There, standing in the shower, is a young woman about his age, completely naked. The situation is awkward and confusing for Mike, who stands frozen in the doorway, unsure of what to say or do. At that exact moment, Mike's father, Paul, enters the house after a morning jog. He's in a great mood, and seeing Mike, greets him with enthusiasm and joy. The reunion between father and son is warm and heartfelt, but things quickly take another turn when Paul introduces Mike to his new wife, Lana. Mike's mind races as he processes the new information. His father has remarried, and he didn't even know about it. "You got remarried and didn't even tell me?" Mike exclaims, his tone a mixture of surprise and confusion. Paul, chuckling at his son's reaction, explains, "I wanted to surprise you." Lana, standing beside Paul, smiles warmly at Mike, offering a handshake. She appears to be an elegant and well-spoken woman, but there's something unsettling about the whole situation, as Mike senses that there's more to Lana's story than meets the eye. Later that evening, Paul takes Mike to a fancy auction, where he purchases a very expensive necklace for Lana. While they walk around, admiring the various items on display, Lana casually asks Mike about his love life. "Do you have a girlfriend?" she asks with a hint of curiosity. Mike, a bit taken aback by the question, responds with a simple, "No, I don't have a girlfriend." Wanting to help Mike, Lana decides to introduce him to one of her friends, Rachel, in hopes of helping him find some companionship. Meanwhile, as Paul and Lana chat with Harry, Paul's lawyer, Mike, watches, feeling increasingly uncomfortable. It's clear that Paul is keeping an eye on Lana, a little too closely for comfort. When they return home that night, Paul's jealousy is evident. He starts an argument with Lana in front of Mike, accusing her of being too friendly with Harry. "You're thinking too much." Lana tries to calm him down. "I was just talking to him." The next day, as Lana is watering the garden, Mike approaches her to talk about the tension from last night. He's concerned about the argument, but Lana brushes it off, telling him, "These things happen. Don't worry about it." However, Mike can't shake the feeling that something deeper is wrong. Paul, noticing Mike's discomfort, decides to take him out for a bonding session. He shows Mike his prized possession, his favorite car, and sternly warns him not to touch it. "This car means a lot to me, Mike," Paul says, his voice serious. "I don't want anyone messing with it." Paul clearly wants to establish boundaries with his son, but Mike is already feeling conflicted. Paul's kindness and cruelty seem to come in waves, and Mike can't figure out which side of his father he will encounter next. The situation continues to unravel. Mike finds himself spending more time with Lana, and she too seems to have grown tired of the house's tense atmosphere. Bored and looking for something to do, Lana takes Paul's car out for a drive, with Mike reluctantly agreeing to join her. They end up at a closed bar, but Lana, knowing the owner, gets access and the two of them drink heavily. What starts as innocent fun quickly escalates. They talk and laugh, and before long they share a passionate kiss, which turns into a secret, forbidden affair. When they return home later that night, Paul is already there. He immediately scolds Lana for taking his car without permission, and Mike overhears the heated argument from his room. The following morning, Mike notices that Lana has bruises on her wrist, which only deepens his suspicions about Paul's behavior. However, Paul, ever the master of deception, acts as if nothing happened, continuing to put on a facade of normalcy. The tension in the house only continues to rise. Paul gives their maid, Maria, a gift for her birthday and a week's vacation, trying to make amends for his earlier outbursts. Mike, still feeling the weight of the recent events, begins to question his father's behavior. One day, while playing basketball with Paul, Mike makes a move for a basket, only to be struck hard in the stomach by his father. "Never touch my car again," Paul warns him with a cold, stern voice. Mike is stunned, not understanding why his father is so unpredictable, sometimes kind, other times cruel. Later that night, Mike confides in Lana, telling her about his father's abusive behavior. "My mother divorced him because of his anger issues," Mike explains, "and he hasn't changed at all." Lana, clearly uncomfortable with the revelation, brushes it aside. "We need to forget what happened last night," she says, her voice soft and apologetic. But Mike, unable to let go, insists that they continue their secret affair. Their intimate relationship deepens, and soon they are sneaking around the house, hiding their passionate encounters from Paul. One night, Lana opens up to Mike, sharing a dark secret from her past. She reveals that her father, too, was abusive, targeting not only her, but also her younger sister. She tells Mike how her father was obsessed with hunting crocodiles at a nearby lake. One day, she drugged her father's drink, causing him to fall off a boat and into the water, where a crocodile dragged him under. Despite extensive police searches, his body was never found, and Lana was left with the guilt of knowing she was responsible for her father's death. The plot becomes even more complicated when Rachel, the girl Lana introduced to Mike, visits the house for dinner. Rachel, now dating Mike, feels a bit out of place, and Lana's jealousy is palpable. The tension at the dinner table is thick, especially when Paul criticizes Mike's career choice. "Being an architect won't get you anywhere," Paul says dismissively. "Stop wasting time and join my business. And by the time you're my age, you'll have all the money you'll ever need." Mike, embarrassed in front of Rachel, tries to keep his composure, but deep down he's furious. He doesn't want to live in his father's shadow. As the story progresses, Mike grows increasingly unhappy. He tells Lana he wants to leave, tired of his father's control over his life. Lana, now emotionally involved with Mike, begs him to stay, pleading with him not to give up on their secret affair. But Paul, sensing that something is amiss, becomes suspicious and takes Mike on a hunting trip to the woods. There, he confronts Mike, asking, "Do you know what Lana does when I'm at work? Because she never answers my calls." Mike, holding a loaded gun, has the opportunity to kill his father, but he can't bring himself to do it. That night, Mike warns Lana that Paul is becoming suspicious. "He doesn't know we're involved," Mike says, his voice filled with worry. But Lana refuses to let Mike go, and once again they continue their passionate relationship. But then, the unthinkable happens. The next morning, Mike is horrified to discover his father's bloodied body in the kitchen. Paul is dead, and the shock of the murder sets off a chain of events that will forever change Mike's life. A detective begins investigating Paul's murder and soon focuses his suspicion on Lana. Lana, in desperation, confesses to Mike that Rachel has a tape of their intimate moments and is blackmailing her for $5 million. Mike, fearing the tape will be exposed, tells Lana to do whatever it takes to get rid of it. As the investigation into Paul's death intensifies, Mike uncovers a fake suicide note that seems to implicate him in the murder. Realizing someone is trying to frame him, he confronts Lana, who denies being involved in Paul's death. But the detective soon uncovers security footage of Mike and Lana meeting secretly multiple times before Paul's death. Suspicious, he digs deeper and uncovers a will that leaves all of Paul's money to Lana in the event of his death. Realizing Lana had a strong motive, the detective orders her arrest. Devastated and confused, Mike is torn between his love for Lana and the reality of what she's done. But before she can be arrested, Lana calls Mike and meets him at a secret location. There, she confesses everything. She killed Paul. She manipulated Mike into falling in love with her so she could use him to get to his father's wealth. She framed Rachel to cover her tracks, and now she's planning to leave with the money. Shocked, heartbroken, and furious, Mike can barely comprehend what Lana has done. Just as she pulls a gun on him, ready to end his life to ensure her escape, the police arrive, surrounding her. Lana tries to flee but is shot in the leg and arrested on the spot. Mike, watching as she is taken away, finally realizes that he has been nothing more than a pawn in her twisted game. In the end, Mike leaves town, trying to start over and forget the nightmare he's lived through. But deep down, he knows he will never forget the woman who tore apart his world, leaving him broken and betrayed. The twisted web of lies, manipulation, and murder has shattered everything he thought he knew about love and trust. Hence, Wicked Minds is a chilling reminder of how far some will go for love, control, and revenge, and how those caught in the web may never truly escape its clutches. With everything lost and nothing but painful memories left behind, Mike is forced to confront the harsh reality that sometimes, even love is nothing more than a well-crafted illusion. The nightmare may be over, but the consequences will linger long after the final chapter. Thank you for watching.